6:00, I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Barb, roll call please.
Mayor Steve Feldman.
Here.
Councilmembers Kevin Robinson.
Here.
Joe Bauer.
Here.
Robert Bauer.
Here.
Sarah Edmund. Here.
All right, do I have a motion tonight to adopt tonight's agenda?
Make that motion, Mayor.
Councilmember Robinson makes that motion. I have a second.
I'll second.
Councilmember Mewbauer makes that second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. I want to pull out item D for explanation to the public about that, about our process on this. And so do I have a motion tonight to adopt tonight's consent agenda barring item D?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Bauer makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Robinson makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, and the reason I want to pull out about item D, which is toolcat and attachment replacement. I want to go in about this because I've been telling people over, since we got an officer back at 17, that, cities will always have to spend money for services that the residents and constituents need, plowing roads, mowing parks, police service, fire service, so on and so forth. And in that, the responsibility of this council, of course, is to spend the money as wise as possible, getting bang for the dollar, so to speak. So one of the things I want to commend rather, Public Works on is in this the description here, as I'm sure all council members have read this. There's a John Deere piece of equipment that does certain things, but now there's another piece of equipment, a toolcat, that can do what the John Deere does with its attachments, plus more, and is actually user-friendly for more people in the Public Works Department to be able to use it. Paul, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. But because of Paul's ability and his staff's ability to maintain the equipment properly, and the trade-in value that he gets off because he maintains his equipment so well, and he doesn't use the state bidding process out there, we are being able to get a machine now and save just under $10,000 in the price, buying a new machine that will give us more ability to do more things than the machine that was there before. I just, again, want to bring this up because, again, I want to commend Paul and his staff. I happen to agree with taking care of machines. They'll take care of you in the long run. But I want to point out again to the public, mostly on the video if they're listening, that we are spending dollars, but we're spending it wiser, getting more bang for the buck. We're looking out 20, 25 years now with our Planet software, but these decisions are made with due diligence, research, and thought behind it. It's just not buying a machine for a machine's sake, like the Ford plow truck that we had that we replaced, and so on and so forth. So I want to commend once again Public Works and all staff for working within their budgets to make things work and get bang for the buck. A cost-benefit ratio is a good thing to deal with and look at as far as when you're planning to purchase equipment and software, whatever it may be for the city. But once again, I can't emphasize enough that we will always have to spend money. How we spend it and what return we get on that dollar is the key and the job of this council here and staff behind us. So I just want to ask for any questions that you may have. I know you've read the packet, but I think you can see it's pretty much, in my opinion, no-brainer of what this new piece of equipment will do versus what the old one will do. So Kevin, I'm going to open up that to you if you have any questions or things you want to elaborate on
I
that.
have no questions, Mayor.
Okay. Joe? Rob?
I have nothing.
Sarah? Okay. This was mostly just to inform the public on how our thinking has changed in the city in the last 2.5 years, and again, staff working well with the council to spend your dollars wisely and get a return so that you can have those roads plowed nice, and those parks mowed properly, and so on and so forth. So, Paul, good job. Thank you so much. Keep it up. Okay. So on that, do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda item toolcat and attachment replacement? Do we have a motion to adopt that? I'll do what you say.
There you go.
Councilmember Rudnick makes a motion. Do I have a second? Councilmember Mewbauer makes a second. Any further discussion? None. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, moving on. Meeting open to the public.
Mike Roger.
Roger, 2770 232nd Lane, the Turtle Run development. First off, I'd like to thank the council and mayor and staff. And I know it seems like today, but I also want to thank Paul's staff for the great job they did plowing the roads this winter. Just think 2 weeks ago we had 5 inches of snow up north, and one of the things I see is people talk about the granite that he uses instead of salt. That the big deal now is that they don't want salt on our roads no more. But I come here before you tonight. As I drove in for the EDA meeting, I look around and I see code compliance violations everywhere. We can't ask a reputable builder to come into our town and abide by codes when we don't enforce our own codes as it is. There's garbage can containments that ain't even there through commercial properties. There's cars parked in people's yards. There's boats parked in backyards. I spoke with one of the council members about this a couple months ago, and trust me, I watched every meeting on YouTube, and nothing has been said about this. Once again, we can't ask reputable builders to come into our town and abide by codes without doing something. We can't ask somebody to do something that everybody else has been getting away. They've been getting away with it long enough. Let's put an end to this and make this town what it's supposed to be. Not the ghetto of Minneapolis I'm sorry, Minneapolis, I shouldn't say that. I left that type of situation to come up here to live in a beautiful area. It's still beautiful, but we're letting it get away, and it will get away fast if we don't do something about it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mike. I feel like this is an ongoing problem that we're going to be facing as we grow. We have a complaint-based situation now. How well it's working. I mean, Kate, are you seeing more people? Are we seeing more calls in for code compliance than regular, or is it just hit and miss?
Mayor and Council, there has not been an increase in the calls coming in. If people are seeing it, they're either not reporting it, or they're choosing to just ignore it.
Mr. Mayor, Council, from what I see through social media, is the people in this town ain't gonna call. They're taking it out on social media, and they won't call on their neighbors. The other day, Saturday, my wife calls me. I happen to be up north. She says the neighbor's burning his garbage. This is more than once, and I'm sure Todd Schweigert and the boys have been knowing about this. People have called about it, but they didn't know who it was. I do know who it is now. They're burning wire, whatever, and it's things like that. You can't even sleep with your windows open. I will not tolerate that. Everyone says, well, go talk to them. Yeah, I'll go talk to them once. And the next time it will be 911, come on over and deal with this. People will not call on code compliance unless it's terrible. Look at the mobile home sitting on there. How many calls have we had on that last month? Obviously none. Whether it's being condemned or whatever. I watched the other day when you guys had the fines for the people here for code compliances, and none of them ever talked about getting letters or the neighbors talking to them. Why? Because they're afraid to talk to them. And that's the way society is right now. Everyone's afraid to talk to their neighbors or speak up. They just soon sweep it under the rug and ignore it. Well, I'm not going to ignore the code compliances that are going on here. I mean, you drive through Cross Bridge Street, and it looks like we got a cell charge for crying out loud. It closed it. So we can bring a reputable builder to the land next to it and develop it. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, and we keep letting it go on and on and on.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. The one question I have, Kate, is, and maybe Todd can answer this too. I mean, does it seem like the complaint base really works well? I mean, I happen not to agree that I think that it does myself. And I know we probably should go to a work session and discuss it more.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, let me interrupt you. The complaint base does not work at all, because I spoke with one of the council members sitting up there looking at me right now, and he absolutely did nothing about it. So,
Oh my, it was in a grocery store.
And
it-
Mr. Robertson, did you not,
I'm not gonna answer.
did you not comply with it? Did you not address it? Not a bit.
Not when you're approaching.
Not a bit. Don't say
that.
Don't say that we can email you. You guys don't even answer the emails or the phone calls. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mike, I would disagree with you if you would.
Irresponsible.
You know, first of all, bringing it up like that isn't gonna help the situation out. An idea would help the situation out better. But to say that the council doesn't return emails, that's not true.
Well, there's a formal process for the complaints too that you can go through, and then it's documented, obviously, things like that. And I don't disagree with you as far as the social media stuff concerns. It drives me nuts. I get after people on there, and I have no problem calling people out saying, you can sit on Facebook all day, but you can't send an email, because people do that all the time. It drives me nuts, and thankfully with 47, people actually did send those emails, and obviously MnDOT's responding to that, which is a good thing.
As far as the address you mentioned earlier, you should give that over to us now, so we'll know about that one. But as far as, you know, I happen to agree with you somewhat of a like there. I just don't think people call up enough until the problem gets so big, and at that time, what happens is it's harder and a bigger problem for staff to handle along with council to have. I've always said if you deal with a problem at a 2 level versus an 8 level, you're gonna have a lot easier time to solve it than when it gets, a perfect example would be on that one Ambassador that I keep looking at all the time as I come to a meeting, city council meeting or looking all, and it's still, but it's in a legal process, I understand that. But all these things get to be, you know, when you let something go and go and go, it's like a mound of dirt and a carpet. Eventually you're gonna have to, you will walk around it or you trip over it. So, you know, these problems here aren't getting easier for us. I just wonder, and again, we'll do a work session on it if we have to, but I'm just wondering if code compliance on a volunteer basis, on complaint basis, is it really effective? It saves money, but is it effective to get the job done on a bigger scale? Because we're growing in an urban area. I mean, I walk these areas, and other council members have walked this area. I know Kevin has, and Sarah hasn't that. But I say you walk these areas, and I see exactly what you're saying. And I think, and I've heard from people that they're perturbed. Will they make the call? That's another question. Will they make the call?
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yeah,
add
please.
something? One of the things that I've heard from people is that, you know, they do try to go and talk to their neighbors, but if their neighbor isn't receptive to it, they're not calling the city, because their neighbor now knows who complained, or they can assume, and some neighbors can get even worse. And so I think, and I think, to be honest, there's a lot of people who honestly just plain don't know you can't park your cars and your campers on your grass. There's just people who don't have a clue that that's an ordinance in St. Francis. Because you drive around and there are more cars and campers and boats and bobcats and everything else that are parked on grass. And I don't think it's that people are doing it just intentionally. I think they do not have any idea that that is not okay.
And I'll go along with that, ask Kate, once they're aware of the problem, do most of the people, I think you've answered this before to us, but don't the majority of the people, once they know the problem exists, correct it?
Mayor and council, they do, and you're right, there, you know, Joe mentioned there's a process. So somebody can call City Hall, they can email staff directly, or they can file a complaint through the website. So going to the Fly Review is probably not the most efficient. Come to staff who actually handles it. From that point, we need an address, not a rock, not a corner, not a colored house, but we need an address, and we will go out and we will start that letter. 99% of the people take care of it with that first letter. They don't know, they weren't aware, they thought they moved to the country for some grand ability to put 8 cars in their front yard. They learn, they move on. A handful of them are our worst case scenarios, and they transfer over from year to year and become these problems. So.
Yeah, I think it's a frustration that will haunt this council and staff for quite a long time until we really get a handle on it. I think the complaint basis is fine if you get the complaint and the address, but if you don't, it just keeps going on and on and on. So I think it's something we're going to have to address in a different way.
Well, and if people are watching that have these issues, If they don't wanna talk to their neighbor because they don't wanna out themselves, then call the city first or send an email or go through the process first. And you don't have to worry about that.
Right, and you can do it anonymously, and the city's not gonna give your information out. We don't care. We just want the address and the issue. I've said that in newsletters, and I'm stating it here now today. So if you have a complaint or see something, give us an address and the concern, the issue that goes with that address, and we can take it from there. Call community development or city staff. Which one would be the best to call?
They can call the receptionist at City Hall, they can email through the website, and it's all directed, you know, to the right person depending on what the issue is, and it's, the first letter will go out the door.
And like I say again, I mean, you know, it's too hard to do a mailing with all of our ordinances or type of thing like that. Whether they'll read it or not, that's another ballgame. But if they come forth with a problem and then you let them know, you're saying 99% of the time you see it correct. It's that other 1% that's the difficulties. All right, Mike, thank you. We are going to address this. It's something on my mind all the time too, by the way. And I live in an area where I've seen a couple of these issues myself.
Your area is quite nice compared to some of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, probably. But I could point out a couple that have been a little more difficult. But anyways, I'll just say to you that it's something we need to continue to address on a continuous basis. As we grow, it's only going to be more difficult. But what we're seeing is people caring about their property now, and they want to bring it to the people. They want something solved. They just don't help us to serve them better. That's one of the failures of this. As I stated at the last meeting, if you help us to serve, if you communicate with us and tell us what your concerns are, it helps us to serve you better. So, thanks once again. And like I say again, I can only state for myself and all that, but I'm sure the council members, once an email to us, we do respond. I know I do. And I know I can say that. All right, moving on. There's no special business, public hearings, low business, new business, second meeting of the public. We have no one, I
We
think.
do have the new business under revised.
Oh, we do, huh?
That's the CDD we just discussed.
See, it screws me up when I get this on my first
Yeah.
one.
I need to find it.
Oh, okay.
I had to read down one.
You got that one there, new business, okay. All right. Which
But
was
it's
just
just-
on, right? You just did it.
Just here is the letters that we got there.
Okay. All right. Well then, new business, thank you for pointing that out. Meadows License and Indemnification Agreement. Request for approval of licensing and indemnification agreement with Joshua Market Builders, Inc., granting access for construction activities at the following properties: lots 1 to 9 inclusive, lots 12 to 22 inclusive, lots 45 to 43 to 56 inclusive, and lots 59 to 66. Lot 1, Meadows of St. Francis, Anoka County, Minnesota, subject to approval by the city attorney as to form. Okay, so do I have that here?
Yeah.
In the hard copy, right? Is this where I have it?
Oh, you need 2 copies. You know, right?
There's that one, and then that's what we just discussed in the CDD.
Okay. Okay, so, Dave, what do we need on this one?
Motion and a second, and what you're doing is entering into a license and indemnification agreement to allow the new potential buyer who has not closed yet on the Meadows property
To go move forward.
to have access to it to start to begin site improvements.
How much is
Okay,
it? You want to read that, or should I just say what Mike Rogers said, ADA, go ahead.
You don't want
and
nothing to
state
say.
it. Oh, I mean, I could read this again, but that's not going to help, right?
Just make a motion adopting the text as stated.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the text as stated?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Rubel makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second
Councilmember Rubel makes a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
So I just got this too. My question, I guess, is to Kate. I just don't want to see the bike shop scenario. So is there anything, are we past or in this paperwork past that point yet? Or is this just an early stage of getting that to the new buyer?
Mayor and Council, so we have received a purchase agreement from this buyer. He has committed to completing the other units. We have not formally closed on this yet. So like with that one, we relinquished all of that control without any type of performance agreement. Before we close on this one, we will also require this developer to go back into a performance agreement with the EPA.
Okay.
We've learned from.
We've learned from.
Yes, I just want to make sure.
And this is more of the reputable long-term developer type of situation we've been looking for a long time. Good question. Any other questions by council on this? None? Do I have a motion and a second, all right? So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is that all, Dave, then?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we're fine. Thank you for pointing it out.
No problem.
That's what you said, all right. Just teasing. All right, thank you. I got my love here and everybody else. Okay, moving on to, I think we're pretty much done with everything on this as far as I can tell. Let me just get back here. That's the new bit, you know, for the public, we have no one on the second one. Any more? Okay. So that is done. Council member reports. I will start with Sarah.
On Wednesday, the 22nd, I attended the public meeting on education at St. Francis High School. There was quite a good showing of teachers. There was probably a handful of community members, so it would have been nice. Neither of our elected officials came, although the Education Minnesota tried very hard to get them there. They asked for dates and neither would commit or respond. And then on Tuesday, the 28th, I attended the school board meeting. They did decide that they were not going to come to the city and ask to work with us on their resource officer. They are stating that Alice Drain that our district has is sufficient. On Thursday, the 30th, I attended the bike rodeo. That was very well attended, another very good event. And I also that evening attended the Saints Academy and online graduation ceremony. And that was really cool. It was good to see those kids. And then I just want to remind everybody about Pioneer Days, the new parade route, and also that the start time is noon now. And just get out and enjoy the days in our community and reach out to some of your neighbors and meet them. That's all for me.
I did also meet with school district, what was it, 15, Education 15. Our representatives did not show up. There was a good showing for council and schools and employees for the school, but hopefully they will watch the videos about ISD 15 and will help move forward with that. Other than that, I turned 50, so I apologize for not being at the last city council meeting. The medallion hunt, first clue came out today. I plan on finding it, so just want to let everyone know. Come out and enjoy Pioneer Days. It's a way for our community to come together, and I know a lot of staff and city council will be out there, so come out and meet us. That's it.
And you actually told people you turned 50?
Yes, I'm okay with that.
All right, you're still younger than that. All right, Joe, you have anything to say?
I congratulated Rob on turning 50.
Yes.
I attended the EDA meeting just prior to the council meeting here, but other than that, I have nothing to report.
Kevin?
I have really nothing to report. I would like to address Mike's comments about meeting a council member. He was talking about me, and it was in the bread aisle at the grocery store. He didn't say, hello, how are you, how's it going? Hey, what about the code problems in this town? And in my defense, not that I should have to defend myself, but with that kind of greeting, and he sets the tone, what's a fella supposed to do? And I said, well, Mike, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I know you were talking about the hardware store, but they are one of the largest contributors to this community, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, whatever. But again, they've been the way they've been for a long time, as far as emails or phone calls, and again, not this is directed just to Mike, anybody in the public viewing. I haven't gotten 2 calls since I've been a council member. And I have worked as hard, if not harder, than anybody on this council. Not perfectly not harder, but I sought this job to be diligent and to have the confidence of the public. And I got that confidence, and that's why I sit here. So to set the tone right, it was in a freaking grocery store how this conversation went down. Now, and I agree wholeheartedly. I still don't, I agree with the complaint-based situation. I don't think we need to add to the size of our government for a control or a compliance officer. We have the resources within our means to do that job. So that being said, that's all that needs to be said. It wasn't even a proper approach. If we want things done, call and write. And again, I don't think anybody here has ever ignored an email or phone call. And between the 5 of us, how many have we gotten actually since January? Sure, there's some things to go on in this town that need to be fixed. And we can fix them. But if you don't talk about it, and I think social media is way overrated, people need to come out of the shadows the way it used to be, and not in the old days, but come out of the shadows and be humans to one another. Talk to your neighbors. And if you've got problems and there's some hindrance about talking about problems, don't do it that way. Go through the system. The system's here. You're paying for the services that we have to offer. Thank you.
Okay, well, I would agree with that 100%. I think you stated at the last meeting very well when you said if you put 30 minutes on your computer on social media, you could put 30 minutes, half of that time coming to a meeting. And I agree with that 100%. I mean, as I've stated before, and the council and staff all would agree with, is that you have to bring it to our attention before we can help you. We don't read minds. We can't tell you exactly where these problems are, and we don't travel the whole city 24/7 every day. And even if the police see it, they have other things to do too. So bring it to our attention and give us an opportunity to correct it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I brought it to his attention. What did I get tonight? I got yelled at. Councilman.
Mike, I'm not even going to go there. What was said there, what was said there at the podium is that I can't go on about that. What I can say to you is, do I think there's long term, the situation is going to be changed here as far as what needs to be done for code compliance? Yeah, I think it could be long term. It's not going to be overnight. And I still think complaint basis can work if the public comes forward and does it the right way. And once again, it's anonymous. You don't have to give your name and address, but give us the address of the complaint area, resident, and then with the issue, and let us take it from there. Then if we don't do it, then you have a legitimate right. But until you don't, if you don't bring it to us, to sit there on social media and brag about something doesn't do us any good. So I can say that again and again to the viewers on the video. I can say to newsletters. I keep saying to you, bring us a concern and issue, and we will address it. We will. But until you bring it to us, we cannot do that. The responsibility lies in your pocket, in your lap first, and bring it to our lap. On that, I want to say to you that for my report, I will just say to you that on May 22nd, let me make sure I got that right date. I was at a MnDOT meeting at Public Works on businesses. Sad, but what I found frustrating was 48 businesses were mailed through MnDOT, through a notification in the mail to come this. The Friday before the Wednesday meeting, I actually walked out and talked to 9 business operators, business owners off of 47. Of the 9, I was told 5 of the ones I talked to came out. 5 out of 48. So my thought, and I want to bring this to your attention on people viewing in, is that what's going to happen here is, as Kate has told me, is these changes are made for long term, over like 50 years worth of change. So someone will come out after this is all said and done and says, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? You had an opportunity to come, talk. I've also put on there the link on my Facebook page. I've also put it in the newsletters to go on our MnDOT, our access to MnDOT off our website. Once again, hold your cursor on our community. When the window pops up, go to the link that says states MnDOT, and you will find out all the calendar dates that need to be done, the discussion periods. There's one more public hearing coming. I don't know what month it's going to be. I think September they're talking about for another.
Mayor, Council, the next citizen engagement will be in September.
Right. And then after that, it goes to the engineers and comes back in for whatever they come up with, and to see how this all comes to fruition for construction to start in 21, I believe. But once again, if you have given us no input, your ability to grade really falls on deaf ears, in my opinion. And I'll state that just like that. I mean, to me, you got an opportunity to bring it up, and you don't bring it up, I don't know what else we can do for you. But the temporary light, by the way, is in place now. The stoplight is in place and working. That was over 2.5 years of this council and the one before this working on that. It's sad that 2 people had to get into an accident, almost severe and death, to get this done, but it's being done right now. I've had emails saying to me, well, what do we do now if they don't, if they still cross it? Look, I can't tell you that a child is going to push the button and walk across that road and the car's not going to stop. What I would say is, push the button and wait and see if traffic stops. They're more likely to stop on a red light than a yellow light, but you do have responsibility on your end. We can't babysit you and be out there 24/7, so you have to use some common sense here. If a car is coming, make sure they stop. Again, a red light is more noticeable than a yellow light. I think that should have been around a long time ago, but it's done now. But we always what I get frustrated with is backseat quarterbacks on social media telling us how we should do it. If you want to help us to do it, help us by coming to a meeting or acknowledging the issue and problem and let us to address it equally together. That I think is a good solution. I really do. I hope so anyways. On that, also, on May 22nd, I had the honor to be invited to a social studies class at the high school and give out and do a question and answer period of time with Cal Barr, legislator from the state. Very interesting. One of the big things was asked of legislatures when recreational marijuana will be legal, but it went to him, not me. So I found that pretty good. But in the meantime, we talked about, they wanted to know about the Ramager property and what was going to be done in the corner of the church. And they asked some other questions, and it was very nice to see kids being involved early, which is, I love to see that, because hopefully there's something in the future that changes that need to be. So on that, I also agree with Sarah that Pioneer Days is here, coming on the 7th and to the 9th. The route has changed a little bit, but Bart, is the route changed on our website or City Hall? Or
Yes.
they can find out that way?
Yep, the map is on
Okay.
there.
But still, it does go down First Street for the fire station, all that, still accessible if they want to get a good seat and all that. Okay. Should be fun, the weather looks like it could be positive, so that'll be a good time. I want to thank Paul for staffing out there and fixing the potholes on the route line, which is a good thing. That's always good to know. And on that, I don't think there's anything else on my notes in that. We have a work session planned, if I recall, here on the 12th. Just to remind everybody at 5:30 with Craig and Engineering talking to us. Correct? 12th of June. Okay.
That's City Hall, correct?
Huh?
That's at City Hall.
That's at City Hall. Yeah,
So
5:30
people know.
on the 12th. Okay. Also, I just want to say also, as far as this ruling that we just did with the EPA and Meadows, we have stated all along that we're looking for long-term reputable development in the city is the key to our growth here. And I think right now we are doing our due diligence correctly. We've run into a good builder here who is has been around a long time, who's developed and built and has parade homes. We'll hopefully be getting some product in the parade out of our city. But I think we're finally going in the right direction. We're starting to see some our roots into our way of thinking. Long-term reputable is the key, not just shovels in the ground for shovel's sake. I think it's important to make sure that the people scooping that dirt are reputable and going to be here through the process. And I think that's really something I'm very excited to see this Meadows come to fruition. And I think it's something that's been long in the way of making. So hopefully that'll be the start, first of a domino that will affect the whole city in the long run. So one thing leads to another thing and so on and so forth. On that, I don't think there's any other business except what I have to read here that was given to me by our attorney. So I will do that. I'll read this into the record. Motion to go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute Section 13D.05 Subdivision 3B and the attorney-client privilege to engage in confidential attorney-client communications and strategy related to the appeal of a para determination. The council has reviewed information in regard to this issue and in balancing the purposes of the attorney-client privilege against the purposes of the open meeting law, the need for absolute confidentiality has been demonstrated in this particular case. Therefore, I would like to get approval to adjourn the council meeting tonight and go into closed session. Barbara, I'll give you this right to you.
I have it.
Oh, yeah? Okay, great. So, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's council meeting and go into closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Muehlbauer makes that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Bauer makes a second. Sorry about that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 6:34.